So I wasn't originally going to make a video about the H-1B visa controversy, but then I saw Ryan McBeth made a video about it, and when I saw it, it was so shockingly stupid. I couldn't believe it. Um, this video completely discredits this guy. Uh, if he wasn't discredited before, this has done it. If you didn't believe me before when I made that video talking about how much of a moron this guy is, you're gonna believe me now. So uh, let's get into it. He's going to talk about a couple of different things, and there's going to be some true things in what he's saying, and I'll point it out when he says it. But the conclusions are completely wrong. But let's watch.
What is an H-1B visa? Why do Indians want them? And why are some Republicans mad about it? All right, let me start by saying this. I'm not into politics. I don't like politics. But this is actually more of a defense issue than a political one. And funny enough,
No, this has nothing to do with defense, and it's about greed.
had no idea how many Indian fans I had until this issue popped up, and all of a sudden Indian dudes are messaging me asking me to talk about it. Like, where the heck were you guys when I said that I wanted an Indian girlfriend to make me chicken tikka masala? Huh? Yeah, that's what I thought, Gundu. Screw you, Ryan, until we need your help. But seriously, here's the deal. In the U.S., there's this work visa called an H-1B. And think of it as a way for U.S. companies to hire foreign talent when they can't find skills locally. Now, there's a cap. It's 65,000 visas a year plus 20,000 for advanced degrees from U.S. universities. And companies enter a literal lottery to bring in top-notch talent, like engineers, doctors, other specialties. So why does this matter? Well, it matters because tech giants like Google or Tesla are all about staying competitive. And if the best AI engineer is sitting in Bangalore, why the heck are they sitting in Bangalore? Let's bring him here and have him working for the US to make our tech better.
That's not exactly it. Now, it's because their labor's cheaper. Okay, that's the reason why, and that's the reason why Elon Musk is so in favor for this, because he stands to save a ton of money. Okay, like I said, this is about greed.
So, critics, like some people in the MAGA movement, argue that H-1Bs displace American workers. But here's the twist. It is not a zero-sum game. H-1Bs complement American talent by filling in gaps and letting U.S. engineers focus on critical projects like defense. Why do so many Indians dominate tech? Well, it's a combination of education, culture, and opportunity. India churns out like 1 million engineers every year, and that's because STEM fields are a priority there. Stable, high-paying careers are the dream in India. Compare that to the U.S., where, let's be honest, a lot of folks go into computer science because they want to design video games.
Okay, so I mean, there's some truth to what he's saying there. This is the sector that South Asia in general has focused on, and when he says India and Indians, like people from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, all these countries, including India, have focused on IT, software development. That is the sector that they chose to focus and specialize in. Whereas, for example, China uh, focused on manufacturing. So India focused on software development, and by extension, all these other South Asian countries. And yeah, South Asians do excel in these fields. That is true.
When I was at NJIT, my freshman computer class was about half white dudes and half Indian dudes. After Calculus 1, it was me and Indian dudes. Yeah, we had a couple of guys from Eastern Europe and a couple of dudes who were really into trains, but for the most part, it was me and Indian dudes. Most of the white guys bailed to information systems. And it's what's funny is that they used to joke that you can't spell white without IT, right? Because the information system dudes would become the IT workers. And another funny story is once I was hired at the civilian company.
Oh man, he looks hideous in that photo. I don't know what the hell he was thinking deciding to post that photo of him with that hideous looking hair in this video. Um, it's interesting that he mentions NJIT. I also went to NJIT, and he's right. The vast majority of the students there are Indian, South Asian, whatever you want to call it. Uh, yeah, I took programming classes there, and yeah, tons of Indian people. So he's not wrong when he's saying those things. He's gonna be completely wrong once he gets to his conclusions.
One of the first jobs I got after I retired from the military, and I was being walked around at this programming company, and all the Indian guys thought I was a new IT guy. And I'm like, hey, I'm a programmer, Dhanyavad. Like, yeah, like, look, there's nothing wrong with IT. IT is very important. Companies run because of IT. But look, even though I'm white, don't ask me to set up Active Directory. I go ask IT. We're not all the same. So this whole computer science information system split kind of shows what a cultural difference there is between American computer science students who drop out when things start going tough and Indians who tend to push through. And I don't know how to fix that. If you know how, let me know in the comments below, because I don't know how.
Okay, it's so the reason why is because Americans just have more opportunities. Okay, that's it. In India, India is a developing country, and they the way that they found to experience growth was by specializing in a certain sector that needed specialization, and that sector was software, IT. Uh, the thing is that you know I studied economics in college, and one of the few things I actually remember from my economics classes is something called comparative advantage, which essentially just means an opportunity cost. By diversifying what a country produces, uh, on one hand, you get diversity, but on the other hand, there's an opportunity cost. And without getting into too many details about opportunity cost, what that means is that by making or specializing in many things, you're giving up uh, making something else and making more of it. So I'm probably explaining this poorly, but if you specialize in one thing, you could have a synergistic effect where you can produce a lot of it, and then you could just trade for the things that you didn't specialize in. I hope that kind of makes sense. I could probably make a video about this later if it's still kind of confusing. But long story short, the reason why Americans, might not pursue things like computer science or whatever and commit to it is because they just have other opportunities that are available to them that are equally viable. That's it.
But here's where it kind of gets personal. I grew up working class Irish in a working class town. My dad was a warehouse worker who wanted me to be a carpenter. And I joined the Army in '94. I used the GI Bill and became a software developer. And it took me 8 years to earn my degree, longer than it took Chris Farley to earn his degree in Tommy Boy.
Here I finally graduated?
Yeah, in just a shade under a decade, too. All right.
You know, a lot of people go to college for 7 years.
I know. They're called doctors.
The Army is what taught me resilience. It's something that a lot of Americans could use when tackling tough fields like engineering. And here's the thing. The H-1B program actually supports national defense because filling private sector roles with foreign talent frees up U.S. citizens who can get security clearances to do government and defense work.
And this is total bullshit.
And since only citizens can work on classified projects, the H-1Bs help keep the talent pool balanced between commercial and defense sectors. So now, Americans aren't losing jobs to Indian engineers. Indian talent complements American workers, allowing American engineers to focus on critical national defense projects.
Okay, I think I've seen enough of this. Yeah, I'm sure tons of Americans are now gonna be, hey, now they're all free to pursue jobs in the Pentagon and at Area 51. according to this dumbass. No, no, I'm not buying it. The only people who will buy this bullshit are woke liberals who are so open-minded that their brains fell out. But the MAGAs, they they're definitely not buying it. Um, so look, to put it bluntly, the H-1B visas are to benefit Indians. That's just the truth. And when I say Indians, like I said, it refers to South Asians in general. So Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, people from all these countries, they all focused on development in software. So it's going to benefit all of them. And that's the point. um, it the reason why people like Elon Musk and whatnot, why they want this stuff is because Indians will work for less uh, compared to Americans. Uh, the only difference is compared to like lower skill jobs is that this is actually a higher skill job that benefits these tech companies and very broadly. So many companies, like how many companies need software developers, IT people, like damn near all of them, right? So they all stand to benefit from it because now they have a new pool of far cheaper labor to do the same work that previously would have been done by Americans for a lot more. So that's what it is. It's just about greed on the part of Elon Musk types, and Indians support it because it benefits Indians. So I'm, I don't usually like to bring up my race um, in arguments, but I think it is appropriate here. I'm Indian, and like my parents come from Sri Lanka. I mentioned this in other videos, uh, but I still think of myself as Indian. Uh, and I think most people from South Asia, whether they're from Pakistan or Bangladesh, when they live in the West, live in America and whatnot, they do think of themselves as Indian. So if I, as an Indian person, can admit that these H-1B visas are to benefit Indians, then that's the other thing. So there were two reasons for why I wanted to make this video. One, I already mentioned, which is uh, to point out how Ryan McBeth is completely full of shit and has completely discredited himself. He lies or he's just a moron. Uh, Maybe both. But the other reason why I wanted to make this video was to demonstrate a point, and that's that all groups are inherently tribalistic, including minority and marginalized groups. And these groups will use their power and influence to benefit their group. And it ain't just Indians, it's Jews as well. So when you have Jews in positions of power and influence, they will use that position to benefit Jews in Israel. Similarly, when you have Indians in positions of power and influence, they will use that position to benefit Indians in India, as you're seeing with these H-1B visas. It's not racist or anti-Semitic to point it out. Reality has a liberal bias is something that I used to believe was true. However, I've come to find out that this isn't necessarily true, as liberals will contradict or deny reality if they believe it benefits a minority group. When saying trans women have an advantage over cis women in sports gets you called a Nazi, that's when you know liberals have abandoned reality in favor for wokeness. When Jews are claimed to have a controlling influence over something, whether it's the movie industry, the music industry, the banking system, the criminal justice system, or various other positions of power and influence, liberals and Jews will dismiss these claims as anti Semitic conspiracy theories. Conspiracy just means collusion. The implication of these platitudes is that Jews are the only group in human history to never collude to benefit their group or advance geopolitical goals. This is obviously not true. Jews are capable of greed, ethnocentrism, racism, selfishness, rape, murder, and genocide. The solution to these failings is not to lie and dismiss bad behavior among Jews as anti-Semitic conspiracies, but rather to take responsibility for bad behavior and to point it out when it's observed. So if I, as an Indian person, can admit that these H-1B visas are primarily, if not solely, to benefit Indians, why can't Jews admit when their people use their power and influence to benefit Jews in Israel? The only reason not to would be because you support the bad behavior.